Guys, we're standing here in front of Bellevue Baptist Church this morning, and we had to cancel due to the inclement weather. And so I just thought it'd be a good opportunity to talk with you about leaders and making decisions. Hey guys, so we're back inside the library here. Just wanted to continue our discussion of decision making. And so the first thing that we need to discuss is not all, of course, decisions are the same. And for me, they typically kind of fall into three different categories. The first is what we'll just call a command decision. So these are decisions that need to be made immediately. Typically, they're made by the senior leader, and it's just an urgency of time. There's no time to gather information. There's no time to consult with people. There's just no time for those kinds of things. So an immediate decision needs to be made. And typically the longer that you've been a leader, the better in these kinds of situations, because they're going to be a gut instinct. It's going to be a muscle memory response. It's going to be just a instinct, a gut reaction to, here's a situation, we need to make a decision. It's urgent, and so a decision's made, and that's just typically how it is. It's just a command decision. The second decision deals with the overall health of the organization. So it's kind of like you're standing in the mirror on a weekday, and you look at yourself, and you're like, man, I put on a couple of pounds. I need to kind of do something about that. Or you're walking up a stairway, and you're a little bit more winded than you used to be, and you say, I need to get back in shape. And so you have time to make a decision, and you realize kind of what the issue is, and so you have a little bit of time. So we'll call that a consultant decision. So you've got time to get people in, talk to people, weigh in other people's options. So it's similar, like you going to the doctor, you're getting their kind of input. You're going to the gym, you're getting their input. So in an organization, you're going around and you're just getting information. You're gathering information from people. You're getting the right people around the table. You're getting input. You're trying to build enough time and information to be able to make a decision. We want to make sure that we include the right people, of course, in this decision-making process. And so typically, if you're making a decision that's going to affect a particular area or group, you want to, of course, make sure that those people are involved in that decision-making process. So you have a command decision, then you've got a consensus decision, and then our third group, because I'm a leader within a church, but typically if you're a part of a larger organization, like stockholders and things like that, then you'll have we're just going to call it a congregational decision. So these are decisions that are so big that the entire organization as a whole has to vote on it, has to talk about it, have input into it. And so for the church, it would be things like adding a staff person, adding an addition to the building, the annual budget, those kinds of things. Things that are so big that the entire group needs to vote on it. And typically, of course, with those kinds of decisions, you'd have a big ramp up to the time in which the organization would vote. There'd be lots and lots of information about why these things are coming, why we're voting on these things, why these things are important. These should involve, of course, plenty of explanation and explaining why these things are going on. So you've got a command decision, you've got a consultant decision, and then you've got a congregational decision. So the first thing you try to figure out is, of the decision that I need to make, which category does that fall into? Because it just affects how much time you have to make the decision. It affects how much information I need to gather. It affects how much education I need to get out there as far as why this decision is needing to be made, all of that. And so in that process, not only do you need to identify what kind of decision it is, you also need to look out for some pitfalls of things that kind of will complicate that process. So the first off is, how much information do you have? So we're going to kind of do a pendulum. We're going to go too least and too much. So too least information is you just don't have enough information to make the decision the proper way, so you make it the best you can. But You try to make sure that you have all the information that you need to make the decision, and you also make sure that information is accurate, make sure it's from a reputable source, and all of those kinds of things that go into of trying to make sure that you have enough information. And then at the same time, you could also have too much information. So this is the paralysis by analysis. You've just got so much information that you basically come to a standstill. You just don't have time to sift through all this information. You got all these decisions and things that all this information that plays into, you just got too much information. So you need to take those broad, big chunks of information and try to break them down into categories. You just got to break it down, and try to see how can we make use of this information. So you either have too much, not enough, or too much. So you want to try to hit that happy sweet spot in the middle. I got enough information to make a good decision moving forward. Second thing is who needs to be involved in the decision-making process. This is critical, especially in volunteer organizations like the church, is are the right people around the table in making this decision? Am I involving the people that need to be there, that it's going to directly affect? If you make decisions and it's going to affect people and they're not involved in it, that's not a good thing. Also, kind of the same pendulum idea. Do we have the right people? And then on the other side is, do we have too many people involved in this decision-making process? Again, you've got too much information. You got to break that down. You got too many people involved, you got to break that down. And so typically we call those committees. So you take the entire group, you break them down into a committee, and then typically every committee also has a chairperson where that chairperson leads the group. And so again, you're breaking the big pieces down into smaller pieces. And so how many people are involved? Are the right people involved? Do we have the right number of people involved? Thirdly, how attached am I to this decision? Am I so personally involved in this decision that it's clouding my judgment? Maybe nostalgia, might be some personal issues you've got going on with this particular topic that when it comes up or you got to make a decision about it, you've got some emotional stuff that's there that clouds your judgment. Am I so personally involved in this decision that it's clouding my ability to make a good decision? And then on the opposite side of that is, do I care about this decision or not? There's just some things in decision making and in life that's just not your cup of tea. That's just not your thing. You could care less either way. Well, that's not good either. You need to get the people that are concerned about that topic, care about that topic, but aren't overly concerned about that topic at the table, helping to make that decision, because they're going to get the right information. They're going to be the people that are concerned about this topic and are going to help you make that decision. So don't ignore the pieces of the puzzle with regard to people. Now, one other last idea is if you make a decision, you also need to be aware of people's historical and emotional involvement in the organization. So you come in as a new leader, or you come in as someone that is addressing a health issue within the church, or you're got to make a decision. Just be aware that when you make these decisions, there's history there, and there's emotional attachment there, there's some nostalgia there, and you need to make sure that that decision that you make doesn't create a bigger problem than the one that you just solved. And a lot of that, especially in church life, deals with the issue of nostalgia, of things that have happened in the past, decisions that have made in the past, organizational large group decisions that have been made in the past that now affect the overall health and organization of the church. Now, they need to be addressed, but you can't ignore those things as well. So hopefully some of these things have been helpful to you in your just thinking about decisions. This past Sunday, I'm actually sitting in my office. We had to cancel church because of snow, and we had to make a decision. So hopefully this is helpful to you in the future and the decisions that you need to make. I appreciate you watching my videos, and hopefully they're helpful to you in your life and leadership, and we'll talk to you later.